Yeah. Alright, so class. Today I will be presenting about the immune system, right? So this is something that you might have heard of in grade school, but do we actually know how our immune system works or operates to help us defeat the bacteria and virus that may infect our bodies? That is why you're sitting here listening to me presenting on this. So, okay, so usually when we get a cut, right? The bacteria in the air, because of the dust, will get into the cut and will start to infect and eat our cells. So in response, what does our body do? It releases the immune system. So there's lots of components in this immune system which would help us kill the bacteria. So one of the arguably the most important part of the immune system is the infantry, the macrophages. They are a type of cells that eat and kill the bacteria that appear in our bodies. And they can eat up to 100 bacteria. That's quite a lot. So next up, we have the neutrophils. So if you're regarding the macrophages as infantry, you can say that neutrophils are the demolitionists. They not only eat the bacteria, but they also spew toxic chemicals to kill the bacteria also. And they sometimes get too excited, right? And they, on their death, or maybe in the midst of eating a bacteria, they explode and release a toxic chemical net of some sort to kill all the bacteria that get caught into it. And in that progress, our body also releases complement proteins, which rips apart the bacteria that come into contact with the wave. Okay, so while our soldiers are fighting the fierce battle, there's the dendritic cells, which are playing one of the most important parts in this war against our body. So what these cells do is very imperative. They collect bacteria samples and then travel through lymph nodes. So these lymph nodes are like stations for our body. So you can regard this as the stations connecting the railway of our bodies. So they travel through these stations, right, to find the right T cells. And what these T cells do is very magical. So the dendritic cells will sort through hundreds, thousands, even millions of T cells to find the T cells that has the correct antibodies, which would identify the bacteria. And then when they're activated, they split into two separate groups, right? And one group assists the macrophages goes into the battlefield and assists the macrophages by reactivating them and giving them a buff of sorts. Basically making them stronger, faster, and eat more bacteria. And while the other group, they go deeper inside the bodies through the lymph nodes and find the antibody factories, which are the B cells. So these B cells are the factories of your body. They produce the antibody needed to kill the bacteria to help you live, right? So when the correct B cells are found, they begin a process of duplicating themselves and then start to produce the antibody required to kill the bacteria that's invading you. So what these antibodies do is when they get released into the war zone, they actually trap and they stun the enemies. On top of that, they also help the macrophages and neutrophils with the same kind of buff that you would see from the T cells. And after the whole debacle is over, 70%, well, it's actually closer to 80 and 85-ish of the cells that had just fought the battle self-destruct themselves to conserve the material and conserve resources for the body. And the B cells, some of the B cells turn into memory cells. The memory cells play as a guardian. What it does is it basically produces the antibodies for this specific bacteria. So that when we come into contact with it, we no longer get affected this badly, right? Same goes for the T cells. And that pretty much wraps up my presentation. Thank you for listening.